everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of Wrestling with the Future. I'm your host, Psychic Medium Angelo, joined by my co-host, as always, Dan the Man Sebastiano, and Mike, Marvelous Mike, the Movie Maker Messier. How you guys doing tonight?
Good.
That's it? Good?
Well, I'm looking forward to another great interview,
I
another great
put you
show.
over like $1 million and you give me good?
Hey, not everybody can be as good on the mic as you are, Angelo.
Brother, you kidding me? Come on. I could teach you. I'll smarten you up. Mikey, teach the kid how it's done.
Well, Angelo, I'm doing great. We've got some exciting news coming up in the weeks ahead for Wrestling with the Future podcast.
Oh, boy.
Life Lessons with Mikey Messier on the channel and distribution podcast is coming out well. And also would like to mention that I'm wearing a Shad Gaspard t-shirt. Shad, as we know, passed away a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I got this through Collar and Elbow, which is Al Snow's company. So a little tip of the cup to the late, great Crime Time Tag Team Champion, Shad Gaspard.
I'll raise my glass to that one, brother. Speaking of T-shirts, my fine new Randy Mania shirt arrived today.
Nice. Looks good.
Of course, everyone, Randy Hogan, of course, is the country's #1 Hulk Hogan impersonator. Had him on the show with Bill Apter a couple weeks ago. And Randy was nice enough to sport me one of his shirts. It's a fine-looking red shirt. And speaking of fine-looking, we got a very handsome young man joining us tonight. Good-looking guy, tall, dashing, dapper, been around the business since he was just a wee toddler. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about... Do you guys know anything about our guest tonight before I get into this?
I do.
Okay.
I know a lot about
Sam Houston. He's been around a long time, brother. In a career spanning nearly 3 decades, actually over 3 decades. Sam Houston has paved the path to most certain success that would have made him a household name and almost did. Professional jealousy and personal setbacks sidelined Sam's career for just a short time, but like the warrior he is, he fought the good fight to personal success, and he overcame the odds. In a daily walk to victory every day, Sam Houston is a true success story. Would you please welcome, gentlemen, to the show, the iconic, the legendary Sam Houston.
Oh, wow, man. Thank you so very much, you guys. It really means a lot to me, to be recognized like that. It's really awesome. I have had a hard road, and I have had a long path, and I am 3 days older than dirt, and I wouldn't trade not a minute of it for nothing.
Brother, and I mean this from
the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's made me the man that I am today.
Brother, I mean this when I tell you, God bless you, really. I mean that. And there's a reason you're here tonight. I have to tell you why you're here.
Okay.
A couple weeks ago, I had the charming and lovely and very talkative Karen McDaniel as my guest.
Oh, super. She's awesome. I love Karen.
And Karen put you over like $1 million. And when she did, I got off the phone and I said, that's my next guest, Sam Houston. I'm going to find him somewhere. I'll get him.
Well, see, Wahoo and I were tremendous friends. I mean, I've known Wahoo since I was probably like a kid before grade school, and Wahoo had been playing football and wrestling. Oh my gosh. I've known Wahoo for quite a while. And Karen, they're just awesome people. I love them to death. But let me tell you, do you mind if I break into a story real fast?
Brother, we're all about the stories here.
Okay. All right. I was probably, 4 or 5 years old. In Oklahoma City, they used to do the TV taping early on Saturday mornings, and then get the tapes all ready and stuff. Anyway, the wrestlers dressed in the newsroom area with the desk and the typewriters and stuff, but the only concessions for everything was in the break room. And they got their tights on. They don't want to be walking the halls in their gear and everything where all the fans are, because they're off to the studio too. So they got the break room. So I went, and Wahoo gave me 50 cents to go get him a Coke. So I went and got him a soda, those old-timey sodas where you pull the bottle out, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And I kept the deal was I kept the change, the 15 cents. That was, you know, for running, you know. Wahoo remembered that for years. When I was a teenager, I'd pick him up at the airport and drive him around the territory for Watts when he'd come in for UWF and stuff. And then when I started wrestling, I got to the Carolinas and everything. Me and Wahoo were really great friends. And I got to tell you, that this ass whipping I got from him, I mean, I was the one that instigated it. And I laughed the whole time I was getting it. It was a TV taping. And it was in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Brian Adidas picked me up. I met him in Charlotte at the hotel. Yeah. Rode when he opened his trunk up, I see golf clubs in the back. And I said, whose golf clubs? And he said, oh, they're Chiefs. You know, he let me go play golf today, borrow his clubs and play golf. So I was like, okay. And I was real cool with my bag. I didn't, you know, want to mess nothing up or anything. Then I get to the TV and I got to work. We got to work. It was me and Brian, and we got to work against Wahoo and Tully. Wahoo had turned and was Tully's partner. So there's a little hallway that leads out right before, and you both sides use the same hallway to walk out. Wahoo and Tully were already in the hallway when Brian and I walked out to the ring first. And as I passed Wahoo, I said, hey, Chief, I'm sorry about your 9-iron. I'm going to have that fixed for you. And I walked up to the ring. Oh, my God, that man chopped me from here to eternity. I had handprints on my back. He was hitting me in the chest so hard.
Sam, you know, we heard stories on this show. You know, guys were trying to explain to us like how big Wahoo's hands were, and you know, and how hard he like actually chopped you.
Yeah,
like was that a shoot? Was that for shoot with him?
Yes. Yes.
Oh man.
And it should be with everybody, you know. And I'm going to say this real quick. It should be with everybody. If you can't handle it, go back to flipping burgers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is a physical sport.
Exactly.
You know, people get up in people's face now and all that acrobatic blah blah, and you know, and the fans make sense with all that. But you know, those same fans aren't going to get up in Ole Anderson's face or Johnny Valentine's face and say, "Hey, you're fake."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, try it with Johnny Valentine, sure.
Yeah, you shoot Spider Galento. I watched him grab an arm on a guy, this guy that it was outside on the sidewalk. I don't know how Spider Galento did it, but I mean, jerked this guy's shoulder clean out socket just with one little twist. It's like, wow.
It ain't hard to do.
You know,
brother, if you know how to do it, it's not hard to do.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I learned how to wrestle in the dressing rooms growing up. You know, I was like 5, 6 years old, and you got Danny Hodge coming over there and grabbing you in a shoot front face lock and telling you how to do it, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, will you pick these things up? I was arm dragging kids in the first grade when I'd get in a fight.
I should tell everyone that, you know, Sam talks about growing up in the business, and he literally did. If you don't know, Sam Houston's father is the legendary, iconic one half of the Kentuckians, Grizzly Smith. Also, by the way, one hellacious booker, a great booker, legendary booker, in fact. Also, Sam has a brother and sister that are pretty, you know, they made a name for themselves too, I should say. Robin, Rockin' Robin, and your brother, what's his name? Jake somebody.
Yeah, Jake the Snake. Yeah.
Some Jake the Snake guy.
No,
so we should tell people that, you know, you have a hell of a pedigree, my friend. You really, really do.
Yeah, my brother's got like the best mind ever for this business. I mean, everybody says it. I'm not tooting the horn for him or nothing like that. I'm just stating facts. My sister was one of the greatest ladies ladies heavyweight. Yeah. Oh God, she's gonna kill me for that. Ladies, Robin's not that heavy, y'all. She's only about 130 pounds or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, but she was, she didn't come through Moolah's camp or anything else. Nelson Royal, the guy that came out of retirement, Nelson Royal had been a world heavyweight champion, junior heavyweight champion.
Yes.
For the NWA for years after Danny Hodge. And Nelson, actually, when we were small children, that's where I learned to ride a horse. Robin and I performed in a couple of rodeos and stuff up there. We chased a pig, and you got to drag it across the line with their tail. We didn't win.
Yeah.
But when we were small kids, I watched Katie Diamond Lil knock a horse out. Yeah, I watched her knock a horse out on his place. So Nelson, our family goes back a long way. Well, Nelson came out of retirement to tag up with me to teach me how to be a ring general, because you had Magnum and Dusty doing their thing. You had the Four Horsemen, so and I was their number one target for a long time.
Oh, sure.
So Nelson came out and he started helping me to train me to be a ring general.
That's remarkable.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, brother. If you're going to get broke in, that's the way to do it. I mean, it doesn't get any better than Nelson Royal.
Well,
now, Sam, how long?
Please, let me take it one step further. So when my sister decided it was her time to break in the business, instead of going through Moolah's training camp or anything like that, Nelson Royal trained my sister.
Right.
So she had. And so she was the first woman's world champion of that sort that would go out there and give it to you like the guys.
Yeah.
That's how she was trained, Oh,
absolutely. Now, how long was your partnership with Nelson? I know you guys were in Mid-Atlantic, right?
Yeah, we were in Mid-Atlantic, I guess. So that would be what our partnership, probably 84, 85, 86.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, somewhere around there. I mean, I got to be honest with you. Sometimes dates for me are kind of hard. I went 19 years drinking 3/5 a day of alcohol a day. I've got almost 11 years sober now, folks. So, that's not an issue with me anymore. I don't mind people drinking around me, but I don't partake in it. And I have the attitude of, hey, you do you, let me do me, and we're fine.
Exactly. Well, that's why, Sam, at the beginning of the show, I said what I did about, it's a daily victory every day. It really is. And, and I truly meant what I said. You're a success story. A success comes in lots of shapes and sizes and by various mechanisms. Certainly, professionally you had great success, but your personal success, the human story, is far more interesting than anything you could have done in the ring, because there were a lot of times that you shouldn't have been here, but for whatever reason, the big referee in the sky decided, you worth keeping you around.
No, it wasn't my time yet. I'll tell you, okay, the first time that when I was 17 years old, I passed away for 2 minutes on the operating table with getting my tonsils taken out. It was a horrible thing, and that's a long story. But after that, I was in tornadoes. I've been in floods. I've been in fires. I've been earthquakes, hurricanes. I've been through all the disasters. I've lost and had to start over so many times. I've been paralyzed, partially paralyzed twice. But even partially paralyzed, when you have something that don't move and you want to move it, you dig down deep. You see what you got.
I understand, brother.
You know,
I
I
absolutely understand.
9 months in pain. Well, then I used that. I came through that. I started my career over again with the help of Charlie Norris. We went,
Absolutely.
and
Yep.
after I was paralyzed, I went to Japan 5 times. I was almost eaten by cannibals in New Guinea twice. And I'm talking about they were carrying me off to the big black pot when the Australian army got there and started shooting people down with rubber bullets and beating them in heads. I'm not playing. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been able to. I opened up for the Who at the world's biggest party. I mean, I've done a whole lot of, but it wasn't just me. He put me in these places
Yeah,
to see how
absolutely.
I handle things. Because my goal, my thing in life is to help my brothers and sisters out there. You know, everybody's going through something. I've been through it all. And if I can help, I want to help. Because the most important thing to me now at this point in my life is to make sure that all the people around me have heard his word, you know, the Almighty's. You know,
Absolutely.
and I want to say this, you know, folks, if you're not saved, you know, I'd like to see you. And if I don't see you before, I'd like to see you in heaven. So get right with the man. Get right with your maker.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. Look, any time we have the opportunity to have somebody, you know, you forward their testimony and witness, I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Absolutely.
I want to give it all to you. You know, I want to give you the prison years. I went through. Check this out. I did 5 years, five hard years in prison. You know, for DWIs. Oh,
Yeah.
but I tried to hang myself. Both nooses broke. You know, wow. He had me stay alive for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
And my reason is to help others. You know, right now with all this crisis and everything going on right now, it's been a heck of a ride for me. I get up here I'm in North Carolina right now. I drove up here to North Carolina to fly out to Ohio to do an event in Ohio because a month or so earlier, I was the only name on the card, and I guess I don't know if word got around. I don't know what happened, but they hadn't had a box office that big in over 3 years. They ran out of chairs. People were hanging from the rafters. They had to stop selling tickets, you know, so they were bringing me back. And I can't wait to get back.
Sam, was that show in Dayton?
I'm not sure. It was Circleville, something.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, those guys were awesome. You know, I did a seminar there. They said that was the best seminar they'd ever seen. Well, of course they're going to say that to my face. They probably, you know.
Oh yeah.
That's
that's the one I'm talking about. Yeah, it's right outside of Dayton.
Yeah,
I heard about that. Yeah,
it was awesome. You know, and I was able to do what I do and do what I love doing for people that enjoyed me doing it for them.
Well, Sam, let me ask you a question. When you're doing this for so long, does the spark ever wear off? Do you ever say to yourself, like, you know, I'm like over this now. I want to do something different.
That hadn't happened yet.
Well, I mean, it takes. I think we.
In 83. You know, there was a time that I thought my stuff didn't stink and everything like that, and I would work these independent shows, and I didn't. There was a while there I did not, because of my addiction. I didn't care. I just knew I was there to be the main event, blah blah blah. So if I had a few beers or a few drinks beforehand, I really didn't care. I wasn't gonna go out there and give it my all. It wasn't until I was in prison to where I found myself wanting to give it my all. And what happened here in prison, I was at Camp J. Levy Dabadie in Pineville, Louisiana. I'd gotten, when I first got my time from the judge, they sent me straight to a maximum security disciplinary camp. The worst of the worst kind of place, maximum security. This is a place for all the screw-ups.
Yeah.
You know, and they put you in a dorm, 96 people per dorm. You know, and I'm going to tell you, anybody that thinks you can't get nothing in prison, you can get whatever you want.
Absolutely. Bet your ass.
But anyway, so I got in a big fight with 3 guys. Gosh, I got to say this. I give praise to the maker because I knew if I went down, I wasn't getting back up. You know, and I went through 2 of those guys when the guards got there, and I was going for the other one when the guards come in. Well, they had sold my commissary. Yeah, they brought all my commissary back to me. The warden didn't know who I was at the time because after everybody found out in East Baton Rouge Parish who I was, I got in 7 altercations in 1 week. Now,
oh my God.
I didn't have to strike anybody, and that's what saved me. I was able to grab a hold and make them cry.
Yeah.
And when I say make them cry, make them scream, holler, and cry. You know, that's going to deter that next one. You know?
Is that something you found that people want to try you out and, you know, see like what this wrestler's all about?
Oh yeah. You get stupid. I mean, you get stupid people coming around doing stupid things.
Yeah.
Making stupid remarks. I mean,
well, the jail's full of stupid people.
Yeah, but that's when that's when you grab them and make them cry.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, after all that, oh gosh, I got in that problem there, and I went through that, but I knew if it was going down, I wasn't getting back up.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll tell you what, brother, we got a couple guys here that want to ask you some questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Dan the man.
All right, Dan.
All right, Sam, I'm curious. We've mentioned on the show, we've had numerous guests, and the narrative has always come down to the old saying that is often attributed to Eddie Graham, that the best characters, the best wrestlers are the real you turned up to 11. I'm curious, watching you come out and the dance and the moniker, where does the line blur? How did the Sam Houston character come about?
He's not a character. Sam Houston is me, Michael Smith. So like you said, turned up to 11, doing what I love doing, riding across the sky on the edge of that lightning bolt,
Exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly.
I was very blessed. Growing up, like I said, I had the guys, teaching me stuff in the dressing room when when I was 9 years old. I helped my Uncle Luke Brown. He was my dad's tag team partner. Uncle Luke had come in and he'd started refereeing for Leroy McGurk. And to make extra money, he brought the ring to the spot shows. So I was 9 years old and I was his ring crew, And then when I was 12, I was getting to start like holding Dad's watch and keeping the time for the matches. And then every 5 minutes gone by, 55.
Gary Michael
Capetta.
Capetta.
For a 12, 13-year-old kid, setting the ring and bringing the jackets back and stuff like that. And then, running the ring crew myself, then getting to run all the music and then doing the announcing and stuff like that. And then, when it was time for me to break in, of course, I had my tonsillectomy. I didn't make it. I come back. I trained. I worked out. George Weingroff got in the ring with me twice. And I'm telling you, he stretched the crap out of me. But I came back for more. And the second time he couldn't do it he couldn't do it like he did it before. He still did it. But he didn't do it like, and I had the respect.
Whole pile of potatoes there, right?
Yeah. And then I went down to Florida and Dusty started me off as Sam Houston or Mike Sam Houston. And my first match was against Charlie Cook. I heard he just passed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. My condolences to the family. But it was kind of weird. I'm not from Texas. My dad's from Texas. My mom's from North Carolina. I was born in Tampa, Florida, while Dad and Uncle Luke were wrestling down there. And after I was born, we took off to Texas. But I lived in 21 places before I started first grade. 21 different areas of the country. But I was born in Tampa, and it seems really ironic that Sam Houston was born in Tampa, Florida, too. So that's
isn't that interesting? Yeah.
Well, looking at
I've got so many parallels. You know, I was almost eaten by cannibal twice. I opened up for the Who twice. I sank the 8-ball on the break twice one night. You know, it's just like.
Well, looking at Sam Houston, both you and the character, we've talked on the show before too about wrestling and certain moves, and there's certain moves that are very, very hard to do well and very easy to make them look ugly and awful. And one of those is the bulldog. And I'll admit, Sam Houston had one of the prettiest bulldogs I've ever seen.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And I'm curious. How did you settle on that? Because that wasn't really a move I remember seeing before watching you in some of the earlier matches.
Okay, well, Jake's DDT was a complete mistake, and wow, did it get over? And wow, what a deal. So anyway, I was working, and we were up at Nelson's place. We were training. Nelson and I were working out with Ken Shamrock, getting him ready.
Nice.
So that's back then. Well, Shamrock had this suplex that he wanted to try, and I'd been trying to figure out a way to surprise people with the bulldog. And Nelson and I were talking, and like I said, made mention of earlier, I used to do a little horse riding and rodeo, and I learned how to rope up there at Nelson's and everything else. So I learned how to bulldog. So I was thinking I want to bulldog a guy the same way you bulldog a steer. You know, you're on the move.
Yeah.
You're jumping off the horse onto the steer. Well, so to be on the move while you're doing it, you got to be coming off the ropes.
Exactly.
You know, and you can't hit them, straight on or front to back. You don't want to hit them straight on. You want to hit them sideways when they're turned toward you. That way you hook that head, and they got to go.
Yeah.
And it's throwing the left leg up in the air. That way when they come down, they're coming down on them. You know?
Exactly.
Right. Okay,
exactly.
Cool.
But anyway, thank you, though. I do appreciate that. Everybody else tries to take my thing, and I guess I should feel honored, that they do. Honored that they want to, try my, I don't know. Anyway.
Well, I mean, I'd be honored if they did it right.
Yeah, if they're doing it right. It's just like, I watch every wrestler out there, try to do the DDT, and it just irks me. If you don't know how to do it, don't do it.
Exactly.
Don't try.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to do it, don't.
Yeah.
That's like, it's funny, Sam, because Jimmy Valiant just told us basically the same thing just, like a week ago. Yeah. We had Jimmy on the show, handsome Jimmy Valiant, and God, he's great. He could have talked for another 3 hours. I had to cut them off at the 2-hour mark. But I love Boogie. I mean, I know Boogie a long time, but he basically said the same thing you did. If you don't know, if there's something you don't know, do one of two things. Number one, ask. Number two, don't do it till you ask.
There you go. Makes a lot of sense, guys, and I noticed this in the dressing rooms now. As opposed to when the dressing rooms where I broke in. When I broke in, you kept your mouth shut and your ears open.
Exactly.
And we walk around. You're the new guy in. You walk around. You shake hands with everybody. You introduce yourself to everybody. Everybody now, I've been to some of these independent shows and stuff like that, and guys all get all huddled together over there off in corners or along the walls. There's no camaraderie or anything like that. There's no respect given. Nobody, and I look at that and I think, oh, please. I ask them at places like the CACs and stuff, can I get in that battle royal? Because I'm going to teach them some manners.
Hey, you know what, Sam? Thank you for saying that. I was in a locker room recently, and I got to tell you, no one ever noticed that anyone walked in. They all had their heads down, their earphones in, and their little phones going, their games or whatever the hell they were. That's not the locker room I'm used to seeing.
No, and then check this one out. Then you go to some of these other ones. I did one in East Texas, and I walk in there with Rod Price, and me and Rod. Okay, well, first let me tell you how me and Rod and I used to wrestle. Wrestle against each other all the time. After I got out of jail, Rod and I have been really good friends. Now we go to church together. Well, we were down in South Louisiana, and we went to Luke Hawks has his group there, Wildcat Wrestling.
Yes.
So Rod and I went. We had khaki shorts on, tennis shoes. We're just going to watch the guys, see if we can give them pointers. Well, I got in the ring and I showed him a couple of things. Well, when I did, this one guy was snickering. So I was like, okay. Well, I didn't have my stuff, and I wasn't going to do anything. So 2 nights later, we went back, and this time I brought my boots and my gear. And I got in there. Well, he pulls up. He backs up. He was in a Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office unit. He was a deputy sheriff.
Oh,
now,
lovely.
this is a man. Yeah, this is a man that needs to know how to protect himself. He needs to know what to do. People's lives are in his hands, right?
Exactly.
Well, there were 17 people in the class. When they all got there, I finished smoking my cigarette and everything. And I stretched out a little bit, got in the ring, and everybody else got in there, all 17 of them. And that's the first one I pointed at, and I said, "You're first." And he said, "What?" I said, "Look," I said, I saw you pull up in your unit. I said, "You're a cop." I said, "You're supposed to know how to take care of everything." I said, "I want you to come at me with everything you've got." I said, "Everything you've got. Give it all to me."
I love it.
Yeah. And I made him scream, holler, cry, and tap out 7 times.
That's beautiful.
So Rod calls me over the corner. And he said, "Sam," he said, "a couple of them other guys are kind of snickering because of the way you're handling him." He said, "You need to teach them too." So I made all of them, all 16 guys, at least scream, cry, or tap out 3 times.
That's wonderful.
But and I'm not trying to be Billy Joe badass or nothing like that. But what I'm, it's all technique, it's all skills.
Exactly. And I got news for you. Those technique and those skills will save your ass in a real shoot fight, brother.
Oh, yeah, they did in prison for me. When I got out of prison, I went to WrestleMania. The first person I went after was Dean Malenko. I went and shook his hand and thanked him. I told him his Texas cloverleaf saved me several times. When somebody's running up on you, you drop down, ankle pick them, boom, shove them on their ass, and then step right in, and you're right there for that cloverleaf. You step over, you start screaming and crying. Yeah. Oh, I think.
Mike Messier, go ahead. You're up, brother.
Well, Sam, I know quite a bit about your career. The matches for the Mid-Atlantic title with Crusher Khrushchev, the feud with Black Bart. But there was a point in your career, I think it was 1987 to 1991. You were with the World Wrestling Federation. At that time, Jake the Snake, your brother or half brother, and your younger sister, Rockin' Robin, the 3 of you were all kind of under one roof. And I guess really just thinking about the relationship with your younger sister, was she someone that you felt the need to protect from some of the male wrestlers, or could she just handle herself? Did you have a bond?
She handled herself, but I was there. No, I was there to protect. Remember one night in Baltimore. Baltimore was really hard to get out of, and we were staying at the hotel down the road, the Marriott. And I remember one night there, the fans were unruly. I mean, on that street there could be 3,000-4,000 people there. And so one night we had to get to the hotel. They couldn't get the van to us or anything else. So I told her, I said, "Grab hold of my belt loops." And I said, "Keep your head down. We're going through." And I had to fight 2 blocks up that road to get to the Marriott. But I got her there. Then I turned around, went back, and got our bags, and had to go through the same thing. But yeah, I kind of I did what I could. But I must tell you, my sister did for herself as well.
How is your sister doing these days? How is Rockin' Robin doing? Because she was someone that she would have done so well these days with all the women wrestlers. She would fit right in against, Britt Baker or Alexa Bliss or anybody. How is she doing?
Oh, I believe so too. I believe so too. I don't know. Right now, she's I guess doing some flipping homes down there in South Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So, but yeah, she's doing well.
And going back to your own career, Sam, I remember, like I said, the matches with Black Bart, and you always reminded me of a Barry Windham. You were tall, you were 6'3", age 19, 20, 21. You're wrestling for the Mid-Atlantic title, and you had a great match with Crusher Khrushchev at Starrcade '85, and then the match where you won the Mid-Atlantic title from Crusher Khrushchev, I think, was on TBS Saturday night, and I believe wasn't it the Road Warriors that came out and helped attack the Russians, and you were able.
Animal caught me and threw me back in the ring. When Khrushchev threw me out of the ring, Animal come up, caught me, and threw me back into the ring on top of him. When he came off the top rope, he had come down, and his knee went out on him. So he was trying to get rid of me, get me out of the ring. So, but Animal stopped that, and he was out for 9 months after that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that. Mikey, go ahead.
I remember there was a moment in your career, Sam. The first ever Great American Bash, 1985, 27,000 fans in Charlotte in an outdoor show. And it was you, the Raging Bull, Manny Fernandez, another Wrestling with the Future alumnus, and your tag team partner, a guy who's kind of been lost a little bit to time, the Avalanche Buzz Tyler, I believe. And you fought three monsters: Abdullah the Butcher, Conga the Barbarian, that we know is one of the Powers of Pain, and a former WWF champion, Superstar Billy Graham. And I believe it was a rolling reverse cradle, if I'm not mistaken, that you got the pin.
No,
1, 2, 3.
Small package. No,
Small
small package. Yeah, he picked me up to slam me the first time. When we went to pick me up again, I just held on. And
I got to say that was a huge pop.
Imagine Abdullah the Butcher and me standing there. Let's give us like 15 feet between us, or 20 feet between us. All right, what do you have? You have a great big, tall, skinny bowling pin and a 16-pound ball over here, or a 585-pound ball. Man, oh gosh, I remember he hit me so hard with those tackles, they were knocking me over the barricade security railing. I think I ended up in second row one time. And I think after I won the match, I think it was a few seconds before I realized, we won. I was trying to get some wits about me. But
Incredible.
they were great. Yeah, they were great times. I remember sitting at a Hooters restaurant in Charlotte, and everybody was staring at me, and I was eating my sandwich, and I was hoping I didn't have nothing on my face. But at the time, they were showing a highlight reel. I didn't know there was ever a highlight reel of me like that showed anywhere. But evidently, Hooters had one.
Funny.
But gosh, but it was cool up here in the Carolinas, and in that time it was awesome, and then we went nationwide. That's when Crockett started, with nationwide with the WCW, and of course he sent it over to Turner and this one and that one and the other one. But oh gosh, what a great territory that could have been.
Sam, got a question for you. Here's one for you. Do you ever watch your matches back and critique yourself?
I watch them back and I cringe when I land because it hurts me just as much again, all over again. I don't really critique myself because when I'm in the ring, I feel everything that's happening. I feel, that's when I'm alive. I know where I'm standing in the ring. I know where I know my ring placement. I know everything around. I know what's on the outside.
Yeah.
So Oh gosh, do I? So I live. I believe in everything I do. I'm living what I'm doing. So I don't need to.
Exactly.
I don't need to. I don't need to critique something that's not real because it is real to me. It may not be real to anybody else, or they can all
Yeah.
think what they want,
And
but
I'm
it is
glad you
real
said
to me.
that because you led me back right where I thought you would. And that is the art, and we talk about it a lot on this show, the art of ring psychology and ring generalship. And if there's people, and I know we have a sizable audience, there's people who are watching this show that are just new in the business or have been in for a short time. What's the one or two pieces of advice you'd give them regarding ring placement or ring generalship and the lost art of ring psychology, which that's like my pet peeve.
Right.
Oh well, I mean, first of all, you don't give everybody everything all at once. You know.
Thank you.
I mean, you're the one, with the finger. You're the one with the carrot backing away. Let them come to it. That's first. Second is don't act. Be real. Don't be an actor. Don't be a character. You're not. Oh, what about my gimmick or my character?
I want everybody to hear what he just said. I want everyone to hear what he just said. Don't act.
Yeah, don't act. Be real. I went to me and Rod anyway. That story a while ago. So Rod started booking me a little bit after I went through everybody, helping get some shots for me.
Right.
So we went up and I did an event in North or East Texas. Well, when we walked in there was 9 guys with face paint and baseball bats with barbed wire around it. And I just busted out laughing. And so then they said, well, what are you laughing at? I guess they didn't know who I was. And I just told them, I said, this ain't the biggest dressing room full of whoops I ever seen in my life. Because if you ain't tough enough to take care of something, you got to have a baseball bat wrapped with barbed wire. You ain't much of a man.
Exactly.
I walked out of the dressing room, and then I guess the promoter come in there and told them boys who I was, because they sure were kissing my butt after that. And then,
it's remarkable, we're all about preserving the history.
Then I'm supposed to be in a tag match. Well, the guy that's my partner, he's going to be there, but he wasn't really no help. And then Rod come up, he said, Sam, I'm going out to the ring with you. I said, how come? He said, because now they're talking about 3 people they're sending out there. I said, they can send whoever they want to. And I said, I got a chair.
Jeez, that's crazy. Well, yeah, we're all about preserving the history and the integrity of the business, and and I'm glad that you're saying what you're saying, because there was an art to it, there was a skill, and now there's no skill. Everything's scripted, almost verbatim, move for move now. The lost, another thing we've talked about recently, me and the boys, the lost art of the promo.
Yeah.
You of course, came up in a time where you had to be able to work, you had to have a certain look, you had to be able to talk on the fly.
That's it.
You can't do that anymore, Sam. What happened, man?
Well, they let it all get away from them, what happened is it started going away. The business actually went from guys being on the road 7 nights a week, 6 and 7 nights a week, working anywhere from 9 to 11 times, depending on how many times you work at TV. It went from that to always in the car and talking about the business. It went to that to wrestling every other Saturday night. Oh, and then what do? Well, we got this worked out for you. You just got to follow along. They took all the business away. That way, the promoters don't have to pay the money. Look at how much a promoter pays, like a first match now, $20. If the guy gets paid at all, sometimes you're getting paid in hot dogs, man.
Yeah, I got news for you, brother. I know people, and this is a shoot. I know people that have paid the promoter for them to wrestle.
Yeah, you know
that's yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
I know people that have actually paid promoters to wrestle. You said something.
I'm going to start a federation here in the Carolinas, and I'm going to let everybody with $1,000 come up and get in the ring.
There you go. You said something in part of your answer. You said something that may have been lost on some people, but I picked up on it very quickly. In fact, the car rides. That's where you got your education, was in the car.
Yes.
Right.
That's where you got your psychology. And the beauty of it is everything that I heard in the car, or everything that I hear after the event tonight, I can put it to work tomorrow night instead of having to wait 2 weeks or a month. Or, you know, I remember, I had I had my first 100 matches down in Florida in a 3-month period of time.
Yeah.
My first 100 matches were in Florida in a 3-month period of time, from September the 13th until Christmas.
I believe that. I believe every bit of that, because when
now you got guys been in the business 15 years and haven't had 100 matches.
I was just going to go there. You know, we had our friend Magnum TA here 3 weeks ago. Magnum was telling us when he was in Florida, he had 500 matches within a 6-month period. He said he was working every day, double shots on Saturday, double shots on Sunday.
Yeah, and then for TV, you're wrestling 2 times, maybe, sometimes more than that.
Exactly, Sam. Exactly. So, see, what scares me, Sam, is that we're slowly but surely, and if you leave it up to some big federations, they would abolish it all. But it scares me that slowly but surely we're losing grasp of the wrestling that you and I know and love.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. You got to look at it like this. Here's what they're trying to do. Here's what the manipulators and promoters are trying to do, because this is their picture of their perfect world, right? So if he's the promoter, he can do, little bitty guys coming up, every little promoter with $3,000 wants to get on the microphone and get out there and be Vince McMahon for a night, he's setting up all the rules, blah, 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 blah. Well, then, since he's setting up all the rules, the artist no longer holds the paintbrush if he's being told everything he's got to do.
Yep.
So you're taking the art away from him.
Perfect analogy.
And then putting trading the paintbrush in for the pen for whoever writes the checks.
It goes to the writers versus bookers we're always talking about on the show.
Yeah, I mean, if they've never been in the ring, I go back to this Cowboy Bill Watts and Ole Anderson and stuff, guys like this, Wahoo McDaniels. That's when the sport was a sport. Okay, when you start getting armchair quarterbacks involved that have never put on a pair of tights, never been in there, don't know what they're feeling. All they're trying to do is manipulate people. Now we're manipulating people too as we're wrestling, but it's more of a physical thing, and the people get involved in our story. We're not dictating something, we're feeding off of their emotions. So there's a difference between somebody doing it for you or doing it the way they want it to go, and then feeling the people and taking it the way it needs to go.
Yeah. I love the fact that you just said that. I love that, because Jimmy Valiant told us a week ago. Remember that, Mike Messier?
Yep.
He was talking about having the power, Sam, that you have to be able to make a girl a girl in the front row cry at will, or have a guy in the front row just hate you or want to beat you or have some kind of feeling, emotional feeling toward you, that they have that power. And that power is all but missing. It's gone.
Yeah, the story you were talking about in Baltimore, Sam, with the crowd having to literally fight your way through a crowd. I mean, we've had numerous guests on the show that have told us stories about fans jumping the barricade and physical altercations because there was that emotional connection that's been gone for years.
Preach it, Dan.
Yeah,
Preach it.
I have been in so many riots, especially up in Minnesota. My tag team partner for a while in the late 90s, Charlie Thunderblood Norris, big Indian boy, Chippewa Indian from Red Lake, Minnesota. Well, I'm an honorary member of his nation. And, I mean, when you talk about the Renegades, they know you're talking about Sam Houston, Charlie Thunderblood Norris. Mm-hmm. And they know that when we come to town, we take care of business. Well, we've had a few events up there around Red Lake and Bemidji, Minnesota. And the guys that we were wrestling were the Hollywood Hater and Nails, you know. And Nails wasn't on the play. Oh, God. Nails come out of the ring one night and threw a chair across, and I didn't want it going over the top of the ring and hitting somebody on the other side, so I reached up and grabbed it and caught it by the leg. And it was like one of those Fonzie moments, you know, whoa. You know, so I drop it down and I fold it up. I was like, yeah, okay, come on, you big SOB. Well, he started throwing chairs through the arena. Well, it wasn't long before the riots started. You know, and so I've been in a few riot situations like that up there. You know, it's real dangerous, but that's the emotion that happens. The funniest thing I saw was a little 8-year-old girl went and ran, and she put 50 cents in the Coke machine, and she come through that full Coke can, and it hit some fellow on the front row right in the ear. And this wasn't no little guy. This was like about a 400-pound Red Lake Indian fella. And he went down to his knee holding that ear. Oh, my God. I was like, wow, that little girl got some arm to her. You know?
Oh, my God.
But, yeah, people do get emotionally involved. Like in Baltimore, Bart and I had a match. We had a match in Baltimore. And then afterward, the State Athletic Commission tried to physically stop us. We beat them up, too. You know, that match was over 30 years ago, and people come today, man, I was there. You know, but we left it all out there. We'd been the event before there in Baltimore. Bart and I had wrestled, and we were semi-final. So then they booked Baltimore again, and me and Bart are in the second match now. And so I'm like, well, we went from the semi-final to the second match. Yeah. I said, how do I follow that, you know? And I got told, follow it the best way you can, baby. Well, me and Bart went out there, and we left everything in there. When I tell you the people did not holler, they sat there silent the whole rest of the show. They rose up. They gave Ric Flair a small round of applause, you know, when he came there. But they weren't screaming and hollering. They didn't scream, holler, nothing like they did it reached epic proportions for us during our match. And then after that, it was like, just people milling around. They wasn't worried about anything. They had already been fulfilled. They'd seen it all. And me and Bart weren't allowed to wrestle in Maryland anymore or Pennsylvania because our matches were so brutal.
You know, Sam, at the beginning of the show, I said that, you were well on your way to becoming a household word, but a couple of things sidelined you. One of the things that I mentioned was professional jealousy. Now, I know that there were a few people that thought you were a little too over for, as young as you were. Let's be honest about it. You were a kid, but you were super over, brother. So,
I had a connection with the people, and they knew it. They could feel what I was doing.
That's exactly what I'm getting at. Yep. That you're going exactly where I'm going. So what do you do in a situation where the powers that be, or at least some of the powers that be, are intent to hold you down and keep a thumbnail on you? How
Well,
do you break out and create your own niche?
well, it's taken a lot of time. It looks like that's what I'm trying to do right now. No, it's just, you get slapped in the face, you get, hit back. It's like the dog that pees on the carpet, they wad up the newspaper and whop it in the nose. Well, there's only so many times you're going to be able to whop it in the nose before it starts chewing that, taking that paper away from you.
Yeah.
Well, I kept getting knocked down, kept getting pushed back, kept getting saying no, 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 no. So, hey, finally you just, walk your own way. But I got lost to addiction. I got lost to alcohol. It was horrible, because you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do when the paychecks stop. I mean, I was making, I guess my best year was a little over $400,000, but I had a lot of road expenses as well,
Sure.
But you get used to those paychecks, and then those, $10,000 paycheck, they aren't coming every week, and then you fall. But you still think, you're still holding on to that Superman image. Well, I don't have to hold on to a Superman image. I am who I am. I do what I say.
Yeah.
Nowadays. When I was down in Florida a couple years ago, 2016, I lost everything again in the floods. And that ain't the last time. A week ago, last Thursday night, tornado picked up my trailer in North Texas, shook it around, threw it around, flipped it twice. So I just saw a picture. I've got to make a trip. I got to get the money together and make a trip to Texas to see if I have anything salvageable. I'm here in the Carolinas. I've been offered a television show called Fulfilling the Needs, trying to help people. I've been helping some handicapped ladies with their homes during this COVID stuff.
Yeah.
Through the church. And I'll be working on another house tomorrow for the church, but help people with their ramps, whatever I can do, But I got to make a Texas, I'm getting a television show that's going to showcase what I'm doing to try to help people.
Awesome.
I got a friend.
That's beautiful.
I got a friend. His name is James Harris. People might remember him as Kamala.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
He's lost both of his legs to diabetes, and he's on dialysis now like 3 times a week. Well, a lot of promoters said they were going to help him and do things for him and everything else. I talked to him, and he hadn't had any help. And he's barely getting by. So I'm making these cedar tables now. And there's a girl in St. Louis. I'm making these cedar tables now, and if people will buy them, all the proceeds will go to James Harris and Amber. I'm sorry, Amber Sites there in St. Louis.
Yeah, actually, Sam, we're going to show some of your. We're actually going to show some of your table and woodworking crafts within the show. And of course, on the video format of our show, I'm also going to include your link in the description if people want to get a hold of you for custom work.
That'd be great. Now, the fellas that I'm working with right now, and we've been together now for about 3 weeks, they're really great. It's Big Pop Productions. They're the new marketers that I'm working with. Here in the Carolinas. I met him through another friend of mine, and they just went nuts. They've done, I guess, the Steve Wilkos show and things like that. So they want to start producing. They've got me started off with Patreon. They're just putting it all together now. They're linking up the bank account so people can help. I want people to know that if they purchase a picture, a T-shirt, any sort of merchandise from me, I don't take all that money.
Right.
I don't take but a small portion of that money. The rest of it goes to fulfilling the needs for people, whether it's my music CDs, whether it's the autographed 8x10 pictures, T-shirts, whatever you want, anything like that, because folks do need help. I can't do it all, but
absolutely. Well, there are a great number of people that will help. And
It
we
ain't the
will
guy that can
certainly
go
do
over there
our
and write
part.
the $100,000 check. It's not the
Oh,
guy that
sure.
can always write it. It's the person who puts $2.40 in the plate, or $1 here, or $5 here, or $20 here. I don't want something that I don't want something that people can't afford. I'm not
Absolutely.
trying to burden anyone. I'm not trying to burden anyone. But if somebody feels that they want to offer a gift, yes, let me humbly accept your gift and put it where it needs to go.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask everybody just to hang on for a second. We're up on the 1 hour mark. I got to do our sponsors ad. We have a brand new sponsor, manscaped.com. So, you guys, you've been with me a while. Lately, life has been nuts. To be honest, it's even been hard to get out of the sack. But now, as we all head back onto the field of life, with the help of Manscaped's men's personal grooming supplies, it's a whole new ball game. And we're going forward, balls to the walls. Manscaped.com, enter promo code WrestlingFuture for a generous discount. We want to thank the people at Manscaped, particularly Kyle, our friend Kyle. Thank you for your sponsorship. We are looking forward to a happy and healthy working relationship. That's manscaped.com, promo code WrestlingFuture for a very, very handsome discount. All right. Having said that, Mike Messier,
Yes.
we go from male grooming supplies
Right
to
to
Sam
me.
Houston.
You give me the pitch. Well, Sam, I wanted to give you the opportunity. I mean, we could definitely have you on again because so many questions about your career I
Come
would
back
have.
Thursday night, right?
Well,
Yeah, you're coming
Yes,
back.
sir.
there you go. But Sam, I want to give you the opportunity for young wrestlers out there who, although the business may not be like the 1980s or 1990s with the temptations of the road quite as much, but there's still enough temptations out there for these young people, young athletic people, and there's a lot more, young women in the business now. What would you advise them to kind of keep the straight and narrow as much as possible, to stay clean, to stay healthy, to not go down the roads that might lead to some type of trouble in their personal lives? What would you say to these young folks?
I'm going to tell you, and this is the exact way I would tell them. Yeah, I would first ask them, "Are you serious about this business?" And if they told me they were, I would want to sit them down and I'd tell them, "This is the greatest business in the world, but it takes everything. It takes all of you. If this is your dream in life, if this is what you want your destiny to be, if this is what you want to do, if you want to reach for the stars, not play around, not play acting, and not just walk around with a stick up your butt, but if you really want to find you, and you want to do it, then you've got to give it your all. You can't be second best. You have to go one step further than everybody else."
Absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely.
One of the best compliments I ever got, and I found this again, I remembered this in prison, and this is what helped me. I was coming back from the ring one night in Philadelphia, and Paul Ellering, precious Paul Ellering, the Road Warriors manager, stopped me and he said, "Sam," he goes, "I just love watching your matches." And I said, "Oh, thanks. Well, why?" And he goes, "Because you always go that one step further to make me believe." Well,
Absolutely.
I lost that in my 19-year-long addiction to alcohol. I lost that desire to go one step further. I became complacent. I could still go out there and have the best match on the card because I was one hell of a performer. I didn't have to try. So I quit reaching. I did just enough to get by. And I did that for a lot of years. And it wasn't until I found myself in prison to go out there after that big fight I was in, at the maximum security place, I got moved to J. Levy Dabadie, a Class A trustee camp where you got to go outside the prison gates and work. Now, I worked hard for 9 months on the road crew, paving roads, putting culverts in, whatever I had to do to keep the parish roads open. You know, and that's where I found that, because all the other inmates were, oh man, don't do that, you make us look bad. Well, I wasn't there to make them look bad. I was there to make myself to drive myself and push myself and to be that champion that I once was.
Exactly.
I'm not going to accept being less than I can for my maker. My maker has brought me through this. The Almighty has brought me through all these trials and tribulations in my life for a reason. My trials and tribulations and everything that I've gone through this life has been for you, to see if I can help you. If you have issues, if you have problems, you can lean on me. I'll listen.
Absolutely. You know? That's amazing. Beautiful.
Well said. Well said.
Well said indeed.
Well, guys, I'm really looking forward to Thursday night.
Yeah, we are too, Sam. I'll tell you what, we're just getting warmed up. You know, I'll tell you what, one final wrestling question. Now, you know, in the days here, hopefully the last days of the empty arena era, we hope anyway. We hope that people will be back soon. Do you follow the product at all today? Today's wrestling?
Not really. I follow what I'm going to be involved with, you know, in
Right.
the things I do. I kind of like touch base, but it's kind of like when I was wrestling. I didn't like to know who I was going to wrestle before I got to the arena like that night,
Yeah.
you know. Why worry about it? Why spend your day, you know, oh, you got Abdullah. Oh, gosh. Okay, well, I got 30 minutes to, like, try to figure this out instead of spending 2 days, you know?
Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah,
I mean, given... Yeah, I was just going to say, you know, given that there's, you know, NXT and AEW, of course, you know, Raw and SmackDown, would a company like Jim Crockett succeed in today's market?
I think if they kept it on the ground, and that's what's going to happen is a rebirth of wrestling. You've had acrobatics and this, that, and the other, and a gymnastics show for so long now that people don't know. People have forgotten what wrestling is. When you bring it back to competition between two brutes pushing it out on the ground, that's when you're going to get the people involved again. Not through all the high. You know, it's kind of like. Have you ever noticed now? All you hear if you're watching on TV is ha, ha.
Yeah, exactly.
Ha. Okay, you don't hear that. Go man, go. Go man, go.
Yeah.
Go man. You know, you don't hear that build up anymore.
I know.
Spot after spot after spot. There's no time to build. It's not until they get down to where they can start building again and people start believing in a hold again. You snatch somebody in a chicken wing and they're going to scream. You know?
Yeah.
You're going to have to bring it back to that. You're going to have to bring it back to that with the introduction of MMA and everything like that. So now you've got, oh, this one's real and this one's fake. You know, there's just as much, you know, dressing room hoopla, you know, in the MMA. I've been on events where they disqualify guys because he hit a guy 3 times in the face. I was like,
yeah,
well, that's what MMA is supposed to be about. Oh, these are amateurs. They can't get hurt. And I'm sitting here and I go ask the promoter, I said, what's going on? You got all amateurs on your card. You got 2 guys that you're paying. So who's getting messed over, you know?
Exactly. That's a great point. Great point.
I'm going for a night at the fights. Oh, you can't hit him more than, you know, twice. If you knock him down and he don't get up, you know, well, that's kind of defeats the purpose of what you come there for.
Yeah, pretty much. Exactly. Really.
Right.
So I'll tell you what, Thursday night, Sam, I'll tell you what I want to do when I bring it back Thursday. I want to talk a lot more about wrestling, and I'm glad that we talked about your testimony and opened people's eyes, ears, and hearts to your invite of salvation, and certainly needed, especially in these days and times. And I encourage you to continue that message. And so on the next show, we'll continue that line of thought. But I want to also talk a little bit more about the wrestling you were involved in.
Sure.
Okay, we'll do that.
You just threw a hook out there a while ago. You said salvation. I'd like your listeners, or however y'all can do it, or something, if you can play it for your listeners, or if they can look for it themselves. If you'll go to YouTube, type in the word salvation and Sam Houston, my video will come out. I wrote this song about the night I got saved. The first 3 verses, the night I got saved, I wrote the last verse in prison. 2 years ago, I went to a Grammy Award-winning studio down in Florida, and with what was my buddy, my brother in Christ, Ken Close, put the music to it, and we recorded my song. It takes 3 minutes. I hope it'll empower you. I hope it'll inspire you and encourage you.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sam, if you'll allow me to, what I'd like to do is include that link in our description here, so they can go while they're watching your interview here. They can listen to your interview and hear your music video.
Yeah, that'd be great. However y'all want to do it.
Absolutely.
I'm not real computer literate or nothing like that. I turned a computer off with a ball peen hammer one time. It cost me $800, but I got a lot of personal satisfaction out of it. And there was a half a bottle of Crown Royal involved in making that decision. So
I'm certain. I'm sure there was.
Well, when you run, I kept running into that brick wall of death is what they call it, or something. Some maze that you never get through. That ball peen hammer looked real good.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. I'm looking forward to our second conversation on Thursday night. Really looking forward to it.
All right, guys. Y'all have a blessed
Thank you,
evening.
my brother.
All right.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Thank you.
Good night, Sam.
Night.
All right. That was a great interview. I'll tell you what, if there's any doubt as to whether this is the same Sam Houston, he is very much the same guy, but a very different man. Thank goodness.
I understand that.
Thank goodness. Dan, what did you think? Your first opportunity to interview Sam.
I thought it was great. The two things I took away from it was the story behind the obviously I wanted to ask him about the Bulldog, because I stand by that. That wasn't fluffing up the crowd. That legit, he's the prettiest Bulldog I've ever seen in wrestling. And so many guys today, it is ugly and it's bad. And then I think what also he kind of mentioned it in passing was it was Dusty Rhodes that came up with the Sam Houston moniker. I think that's a really neat tidbit.
Yeah, and he mentioned it during the show. His real name is Michael Smith.
Yes.
Michael Maurice Smith, actually. Born 1963. It's funny because he calls himself older than dirt. He's younger than I am.
Well, yeah,
so what does
that kayfabe, Angelo. Gotta keep kayfabe.
That's a smart co-host. Smart co-host. So, Mike Messier, talk to me, my friend.
Well, it's great to hear from Sam. He sounds like he's in a real good place right now. And, these wrestlers, for young fans today, they may not realize that, the 1980s, a lot of people call that decade the cocaine decade.
Yeah.
And maybe that was more in the disco scene or the rock club scene. But the wrestlers had their share of temptations, as we respectfully call them. Yeah. So
yeah, big time.
The decade of excess.
Right. So whenever you see a guy like Sam or even his half brother Jake the Snake come out of that thing as survivors, it makes you appreciate them all that more, because we lost a lot of good talent. We lost Mr. Perfect.
Yeah.
We lost Rick Rude.
I think the one thing though, Mikey, that you're kind of touching on, and I like to because I'll turn it back over to you. But the one thing that we're kind of dancing around is that Sam's brother Jake the Snake Roberts, his father Grizzly Smith, and Sam himself have all had substance and alcohol issues, substance
Right.
abuse issues and alcohol.
Yes.
But it starts with, I mean, if you're going to blame anybody, and not that you want to blame anyone, but, you know, let's be honest about it. You know, Grizzly Smith was he was a rough guy, you know, and he lived rough and he drank hard and he everything was in excess. I guess being, a young Michael Smith, or for this sake of the conversation, a young Sam Houston, young Jake Roberts, you got to kind of look to the oak tree to see where the acorns are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
fortunately, Robin never partook in that we know of, but she's pretty straight-laced, and smart, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly smarter than both of her brothers. And maybe because she learned a lesson from her father.
One thing, if I had to add, something that we touched upon with Lanny Poffo and his relationship with his older brother, Randy, but Sam Houston and Jake the Snake Roberts, unless you read, Meltzer or Pro Wrestling Illustrated or something like that, you would have no idea that Sam Houston and Jake the Snake were brothers based on what you saw on TV.
Exactly.
And you'd have
Good
no
point.
idea that they were brothers to the women's champion, Rocket Robin. And I just, in an alternate universe, can you imagine if they had played up some type of evil brother, good guy brother, Sam Houston is the babyface, white meat babyface younger brother, and Jake the Snake is the corrupt older brother.
Well,
and his sister in the
you know
middle.
what? That's really creative booking. It's classic booking, but it's really creative because let's be honest about it. Sam really was a babyface. If you look at the photo behind me, I mean, he looks like a kid.
Yeah.
Now, by contrast, look at Jake, who in his 20s looked like a grizzled vet.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's funny to think too, with as over as both of those two were.
Yeah.
That would have been money. I mean, I think
God, Dan,
are
you kidding me?
The only time I've ever seen Sam Houston wrestle live, he wrestled Barry Horowitz, and that match got a huge reaction. I mean, here's two guys that were I mean, Sam Houston was kind of falling down the card at the time, and Barry Horowitz was the jobber to the stars. Here's two guys that the crowd shouldn't have cared about, but you had Sam Houston, who was still over, and Barry Horowitz, who always put on the good matches, and they were over. You put him in against somebody like a Jake Roberts with a good story, that is a money feud right there.
Oh, my God, absolutely. Absolutely.
Did it again, Mike. Better writer than they had 30 years ago.
And I know, and I was only, I was not even born yet, but it is one of those things, guys, where the lesson that I think maybe we can share with the young people, because we have a lot of veteran fans listening, but a lot of young fans are probably picking up on the show. Learn these lessons, even if you don't become a professional wrestler or an entertainer of any kind. Learn the lessons that these wrestlers have. When you have your youth on your side and you have that young physical prowess in you, that's when, if your mind is right, that's when you can hit gold. But if your mind is off and clouded, whether it's substances or other distractions, then you're going to not, as Robin Williams would say in Dead Poet Society, you're not going to be able to seize the day.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Any thoughts, Dan?
I mean, Mike nailed it on the head. I think Sam gets all the credit in the world for what he's come out of. Mike mentioned a few names. There's people that have been through a hell of a lot less and didn't come out of it. I mean, his bio mentions something along the lines of 2 to 3 DUIs a year for like a decade.
Oh, God, yeah.
And
easy.
I mean, and I'm not saying that to be critical. I'm saying he mentioned himself 19 years of addiction. And
well, I'll tell you what, Dan, I talked to Sam in prepping for this interview. I spoke to him about 3 weeks ago because, and I'm sure you know by now, I always talk to the guests before they come on the show.
Yes.
to see if there's anything off limits, anything they don't want to talk about. And to his credit, I want to tell people, he said everything is on the table. We can talk about anything you want. We could talk about my DUIs, jail, the trouble I've been in, whatever you guys want to talk about, go for it.
I mean, we always, what's really separated us from a lot of the other wrestling podcasts out there is the human side. And I mean, we just heard for the last hour, here's a guy pouring his soul out and the humanization of a character. I mean, he talked about jail and
exactly.
alcohol and issues and finding God. And I mean,
yeah.
you couldn't write, no pun intended, Mikey, you couldn't write a script that like that for
exactly.
what he achieved at his young age, to lose it and find it again. It's an incredible story, and he deserves all the credit in the world for it.
Absolutely.
Well
Amen
said.
to that. Well, Mikey.
Yep.
Plug Mike Messier.
MikeMessier.com for all your needs, wants, and desires of the Mike Messier realm. Very happy to be wearing the Shad Gaspard shirt from Collar and Elbow, which is Al Snow's group. Looking forward to our continued relationship with Manscaped, and
yes,
good job, Angelo, on slam dunking that. And I know you had some help from me, basically.
Yes, of course. Can you let me put you over just one time?
Never.
But as far
God.
as I go, guys, I'm working on scripts. We're still in this,
work on humility.
Well, I haven't learned. How do you spell it? I need my spell check. But just happy to be here, guys, and looking forward to listening to that part 2 on Thursday. And a lot of good things are coming the way for the Wrestling with the Future podcast family.
Oh yeah, big time.
Absolutely.
Big time. And Dan, how about us? Tell everybody where they can find all of our stuff.
All right. Well, I'll see if I can't plug without taking credit for something. We're on obviously.
Why not? Everybody else does.
Hey, Mikey's never seen a word he can't take credit for, right, Mikey?
That's right.
Wrestling with the Future. We're on Facebook. Wrestling with the Future podcast. We're on Twitter at Wrestling Future. That's no G, Wrestling Future. I personally am on Twitter, theman_WWTF. For those watching the channel, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, buy the t-shirt, and look forward to many great future shows.
Tell everybody that the shirts are $20 each, 2 for $30. They are large, extra large, and 2X. We are available in special order sizes for the 3 and bigger. So we have them available. Again, if you want to friend any of us, it's Dan Sebastiano.
Yes.
On Facebook, Mike Messier on Facebook, and I'm Angelo DeCipio on Facebook. So, for Marvelous Mike, for Dan the Man, I'm Psychic Medium Angelo. We'll see you next time, everybody, with part 2 of Sam Houston. Good night and happy wrestling. Bye-bye.